Let's see here. Starting right guard shot, no longer in school. Starting middle linebacker shot, no longer in school. Two players fighting right in front of the coach. Starting center arrested. Most coaches, that would be pretty much a career's worth of crap to deal with. I think that sums up the last 2 weeks for me.
For almost 14 years, we never won a football game.
Oh my God in heaven. Chavis has serious anger issues. Stop. You go over there, Mike.
Montreal is dealing with the death of his father.
When he died, I knew I was on my own.
Number 77, O.C. Brown.
OC's grades wasn't up like they supposed to be.
He's going to lose an opportunity to go do something with his life.
I want them to rise above the inner city knock.
Man open, and he dropped it. Manassas about to fall to 0-1.
Anybody can be a champ. It takes a man to stand up when this thing hits you in the mouth because it hurts.
All right, folks, welcome back. That is a scene from the Academy Award-winning documentary, Undefeated. Character will be revealed. Here is a copy of that. And the central figure in that documentary is with us right here. He's a former coach of the Manassas High School football team and the subject of that Oscar-winning documentary. That was back in 2011. We welcome in Coach Bill Courtney. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we're going to get to the book, which the documentary led to the book. And the book is more than sports. It's about life and how to live it properly. And it's Against the Grain, a coach's wisdom on character, faith, family, and love. And this is coming out in May. So mark it down and pre-order and get on it, Against the Grain. So that experience, forget the documentary for a second.
Sure.
That experience, you go into a situation like that as a coach, in that environment. How on earth do you forget what you accomplished? But how do you even go about your day-to-day business? How do you turn that around? How do you bring some kind of order to that situation?
You don't worry about X's and O's. You teach character, you teach commitment, you teach civility, you teach respect, you teach honor, and you identify the importance of legacy and define what legacy means. And you explain that undefeated has nothing to do with wins and losses. It's about not being defeated by your circumstances, and you teach that. And then when you have an army of kids who have those tenets, the football comes easy.
So your coach, your father, your mentor, describe. How did this situation differ maybe from the typical situation that a coach would walk into?
Well, in 6 years, I think I can count 7 fathers that I knew. This is the downtrodden inner city thing that you see. And yes, poverty, gangs. The median annual income for people from this area is $7,885.
Wow.
1.3% of the people that live in this area have a college degree. Fewer than 50% have a GED or high school equivalency. So it's abject poverty and loss. But it doesn't matter. The human spirit still exists in these kids. And if you teach them the stuff that your grandmother taught you, and you hold them accountable, and you love them not because of, but in spite of, then they have a chance to be successful, and they were.
And the film, the season, made the video possible, which made the Academy Award possible, which made your celebrity possible. And this is a mission for you. This isn't just about fame or glory or whatever. I mean, you're a very successful businessman in your own right. But this book, which is not about royalties to you or making money off the book, this is about the message and the messages within the book, which all relate to how you handled that situation when you walked into it.
The book is not a football book,
right?
And it's not a business book,
right.
And it's not a faith-based book.
Yet you use these tenets to handle what you walked in. So talk about it.
Listen, we can be a progressive, forward-thinking, inclusive society without abandoning the principles that got us here in the first place. And character, commitment, integrity, all of those old school principles that somehow have become counter to our pop culture matter still. And the movie is an illustration of it. but the book is an exploration of it with 38 illustrations in it of real life stories of people who use these tenets to better their lives. And it doesn't matter if you're a white or an African American or Jewish or Christian or male or female, or if you're using these tenets in your business or in your family or in society. They all work for everybody across all aspects of our life. And when we have a approval rating of Congress below 25%, an approval rating of a president under 40%, and we have 50% of our marriages ending in divorce, we got some stuff wrong. And it starts, in my opinion, with adhering to core values and tenets that define who we are as a people, that do not have to act culture to an inclusive, growing society.
All right, talk about some of the tenets. Talk about the role that faith plays. It played in your life, and plays in what you believe. It would make us a better society.
I'm a Christian, and I'm unabashedly a Christian. But if you're not a Christian, I don't think that means that if you don't agree just like me, you're evil. It's my faith. It's a very personal thing. My personal relationship with Christ is my faith. But if you don't necessarily agree with that, it doesn't mean that I can't agree with you and find common ground with you and love you. So how my faith works in this is that Christ came here for forgiveness, and it's about his grace. And so I use forgiveness and the grace that he gives me and try to return that in kind. And that's how faith plays. But it's more than faith. It's an adherence to your word. I mean, how simple is it that the very basic commitment you have is your word and just doing what you say you're going to do, yet that runs counter to so much what's going on in today's world.
Sure.
And so hold kids accountable to that. Hold yourself accountable to that. Hold your children accountable to that. And you will see schools and society and marriages and businesses change.
You know, there was just a study that came out that we talked about a little bit today in a segment I called Give Me Five, where the Department of Education found that black students are suspended at a higher rate. Of course, they don't give you specific numbers. They don't say where those schools are. They all black schools where most of the blacks are suspended from. So it's hard to put it in context. But I said one of the things that I would look at first and foremost is how many of those kids had fathers. And you talk about the paucity of fathers on the kids you coached. When you talk about family in the book, oftentimes through no fault of their own, especially the youngsters, it's family without a male role model. And you know, one of the things in this society, the male is being shunned aside. People are saying you don't need a father, you don't need a male. I could have a baby. I'm a woman. I don't even need a father for the baby at all.
One of the things the movie does for me is it gives me credibility. Because I can say some things that I think are important to be said, but you can't paint me into this corner because...
Right, they're not going to label you racist, bigot, whatever, because of what you've been through, what you've done, and who you are.
Also, my mother was married and divorced 5 times.
Okay.
My father left when I was 4 years old.
Okay,
My mother's 4th husband shot at me down a hallway, and I had to dive out a window to save myself. I've been through it all, and I understand the inherent sadness that comes with the breakup of family. And it is an epidemic that has to be fixed. But it's not going to be fixed because you and I say we got to stay married. It's going to be fixed because we teach children these tenets. And when we teach children these tenets, then they grow up and have happy marriages, and that's how you break the cycle.
Yeah. Well, listen, the documentary is unbelievable. The book is just as compelling, and I think everybody needs to read it. Again, this book comes out in May, folks, so I don't want you to lose track of it or lose sight of it. Write it down, and we'll pick up on this again. Bill's going to be back in town when the book comes out in May, and we'll definitely have him back. It's Against the Grain, A Coach's Wisdom on Character, Faith, Family, and Love by Bill Courtney. And by the way, the foreword for you Knicks fans and basketball fans is a guy you might have heard of. His name is Phil Action Jackson, to quote Marv Albert, who's going to be earning $12 million a year for the next 5 years to run the New York.
We don't just talk about the news, we talk to those making news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.